Breaking news. U.S. Coast Guard in high-speed chase with suspected drug boat. Somewhere in the vast Pacific, a low-profile vessel raced across the waves. A go-fast boat, built for speed, was making a desperate dash to outrun the law. The United States Coast Guard was in pursuit, determined to stop them. A coordinated net was closing in. The ocean, vast and empty, was about to become very small. The confrontation was inevitable. The Coast Guard moved in. The hunt had truly begun. The go-fast boat was built for one thing: speed. Painted dark, sitting low, it was nearly invisible on the water. On board, grim-faced men scanned the horizon, knowing the risk. Their cargo tightly wrapped bales of cocaine, worth millions. This was no small shipment. It was a major haul destined for American streets. Each bale represented addiction, crime, and tragedy. The money would fuel violence, buy weapons, and corrupt officials. The men on the boat were just one link in a vast criminal chain. Without them, the poison wouldn't reach its destination. The threat was immense. Lives and communities hung in the balance. The Coast Guard knew what was at stake. Stopping this boat wasn't just about seizing drugs. It was about saving lives. The smugglers pushed their engines, focused on escape and profit. They were modern pirates, trafficking in misery, but the Coast Guard was closing in. The hunters were about to confront their prey. The vast ocean was shrinking around the smugglers. Every second, the stakes grew higher. The Coast Guard's mission was clear: stop the threat, protect the innocent. The smugglers' gamble was about to fail. The Coast Guard's resolve was unwavering. The confrontation was inevitable. The boat's deadly cargo would not reach its destination. The Coast Guard was ready. The end game was near. The threat would be neutralized. The smugglers thought they were invisible, but high above, a Coast Guard surveillance plane tracked their every move. Advanced cameras and sensors relayed real-time data to ships and command centers. The smugglers were caught in a high-tech net, unseen, but inescapable. Radio channels buzzed. Target on course 090, speed 35 knots. This was a coordinated operation. Plane, cutter, and command center working as one. Modern drug interdiction is about intelligence, patience, and technology. The Coast Guard used satellite data, radar, and human intel to find their target. The ocean, vast to the smugglers, was a monitored grid to the Coast Guard. The surveillance plane's orbit set the next phase in motion. The go-fast boat was too quick for the cutter alone. They needed speed. The call went out: launch the helicopter. The net was tightening. The smugglers, still confident, had no idea their time was running out. The eyes in the sky had done their job. Now, the enforcers would move in. Silent observation was ending. The confrontation was about to get loud. The Coast Guard was ready to strike. The smugglers' escape was slipping away. The next move would decide everything. The net was about to close. A distant hum grew into the unmistakable chop of helicopter blades. The Coast Guard's MH-65 Dolphin lifted off, a bright orange predator in the sky. Inside, the crew was all business: pilot, co-pilot, and a sniper with a .50 caliber rifle. Their mission: intercept and stop the go-fast boat. The helicopter closed the distance in minutes. The smugglers spotted it, a speck growing larger. Their sense of invisibility shattered. Panic set in. They were no longer the hunters, but the hunted. The helicopter shadowed them, a hawk over a rabbit. The pilot positioned the aircraft for maximum visibility. The message was clear: the chase was entering its most dangerous phase. The crew was trained for this, but every real-world chase was unpredictable. The smugglers, desperate, pushed their throttles. The helicopter kept pace effortlessly. The Coast Guard was in control. The time for silent observation was over. It was time to communicate. The first warning was coming. The Coast Guard's presence was undeniable. The smugglers' options were running out. The next moments would be critical. The Coast Guard was ready to act. The chase was reaching its climax. The law was closing in. The smugglers' fate was nearly sealed. The confrontation was seconds away. The warning would be impossible to ignore. U.S. Coast Guard, stop your vessel now! The command echoed in English and Spanish. No room for misunderstanding. The smugglers ignored it, desperate, tossing bales overboard. The helicopter moved ahead. The sniper fired warning shots. This was the point of no return. The .50 caliber roared. Bullets struck the engines. Sparks flew, black smoke billowed. The go-fast boat sputtered and stopped, dead in the water. The chase was over. With the boat disabled, the Coast Guard cutter moved in. A boarding team launched in a small, fast boat, armed and ready. The smugglers, trapped and outnumbered, surrendered quickly. The team secured the suspects and began searching the vessel. Bales of cocaine were everywhere, hidden in every compartment. Each bale was cataloged, photographed, and tested. The evidence was handled with precision. This would be crucial in court. The scale of the seizure was staggering, a mountain of drugs on deck. The smugglers sat in handcuffs, their payday gone, their freedom lost. The Coast Guard's operation was a major blow to the cartel. The law had won. The boarding was swift and professional. The threat was neutralized without incident. The evidence was secure. The Coast Guard's training and teamwork paid off. The smugglers' journey ended in defeat. The Coast Guard stood victorious. The mission was nearly complete. Justice was in motion. With the suspects and drugs removed, the question remained, what to do with the boat? These vessels are contraband, unregistered, unclaimed, and dangerous to tow. The Coast Guard's protocol: destroy it at sea. The team removed fuel and hazardous materials to minimize pollution. A final search ensured nothing was left behind. The destruction was methodical, not vengeful, a practical necessity. Incendiary devices set the boat ablaze. Flames consumed the hull, black smoke rising. The vessel, once a symbol of crime, became a funeral pyre. The message to the cartels was clear: your assets are not safe. The crew watched as the boat sank beneath the waves. The ocean reclaimed the space. Within minutes, it was as if the boat had never existed. The ghost on the water was gone for good. The evidence was secure, the suspects in custody. The Coast Guard's mission at sea was complete. The destructive tool of the cartels was gone forever. The ocean was a little safer. The Coast Guard's work was done, for now. The journey back to shore was long. Satisfaction for the Coast Guard, dread for the smugglers. In port, federal agents awaited: FBI, DEA, Homeland Security. The suspects were handed over, now federal prisoners. The evidence, millions in cocaine, was transferred to secure storage. Every step maintained the chain of custody. The drugs were weighed, tested, and documented for court. Surveillance footage, radio logs, and crew testimony built a mountain of evidence. The goal: not just arrest, but conviction. The smugglers faced serious federal charges. Long prison sentences awaited. The U.S. Attorney's Office led the prosecution. Most smugglers plead guilty. The evidence is overwhelming. Years, even decades, in prison far from home. The real victory comes in the courtroom. Justice sends a message to the cartels: you will be caught and punished. Every successful prosecution disrupts their operations. The Coast Guard's work doesn't end at sea. It continues in court. The rule of law prevails, even in the vast ocean. The Coast Guard's reach is long. Justice is served. The fight continues. This operation was a clear success. A major shipment stopped, criminals caught, a cartel's profits hit. The Coast Guard's skill and teamwork shone at every stage. Countless lives were saved, immeasurable harm prevented. But this is just one battle in a never-ending war. For every boat caught, others slip through. The cartels adapt, using submarines, ships, and drones. The fight is relentless. The Coast Guard is always on the front line. The area to patrol is vast, the challenge immense, but the Coast Guard never gives up. They use technology, intelligence, and partnerships to maximize impact. Every shipment stopped is a victory. As the sun sets, the mission continues. Cutters on patrol, planes in the sky, crews vigilant. The war on drugs is long and difficult, but the Coast Guard's resolve never wavers. They are the guardians on the water, ready for the next alert, the next chase. There are no easy victories, but every success matters. The Coast Guard stands the watch, day after day. They protect the coastline, the communities, and the nation. The fight goes on. The Coast Guard will be there tomorrow and every day after. They are the thin line of defense, and they will never back down.